Hey guys, my name is Malferon, and welcome to this video to learn how to play Disney Lorcana online through this super cool application known as Pixelborn Connect. Now, remember that Pixelborn Connect is an application that links two people through a matchmaking system to play in a competitive or casual manner by utilizing webcams. So that does mean that you have to play with your physical cards. You could use proxies or something. Culturally, everyone's cool with that. But it's not an online simulator of any sort. And so you will still need to have some basic setup, but the play experience is still really great, and I'm a big advocate for this. And so I'm going to show you how to get online, play with people online, and grow your sense of the Disney Lorcana community. So we're going to start first by going through where to get this application, how to set it up. I'll show you some of the basic things that I put together to play with this, such as the webcam I use, the headset that I use, and other such things to get a basic setup going. And then I'm going to walk you through how I made my setup and, kind of like some general basic etiquette things to have a good play experience on Pixelborn Connect. Show you some samples of what the application looks like and also go through maybe a game or so. This is the Google Drive link that will take you to download Pixelborn Connect. This was put together and made by a member of the community named Pavel. He has provided this Google Drive link and will update it every now and then. And so I have provided this link in the YouTube description below. Please feel free to click it and follow through. If you click it, it should take you to here where you will find a zip drive or a zip file for Mac and PC. If you find this link through the Pixelborn Connect Discord, it may take you to a page that looks like this. Just know that if you do arrive on this page, you would just double click here, and then this would be the actual files that you want. You would simply download the file, download anyway, the file would be downloading. You would then open up your file explorer, and when you get the Pixelborn Connect, you would simply extract it to your desired file location to start installing. Okay. Now again, my setup is pretty simple, and the most expensive thing about my setup is my headset here, which is a wireless Corsair HS80 RGB headset, which will cost around $150, but you definitely don't have to be that bougie, and I selected this headset because it's a pretty good microphone for nice, clear, crisp audio as far as headsets go. And that's mostly because I'm a streamer. However, you can get plenty of like $20 to $30 microphones, basic ones, or really basic headsets on Amazon for anywhere between the $20 to $50 price range. For your webcam, I use the Nexigo N60 1080p, which is only like a $20 webcam on Amazon if you have Amazon Prime, maybe like $30 to $40 if you don't. And I provided the link to this down in the YouTube description, as well as the headset. And for the desktop lamp, I use just like some generic brand on Amazon, Von Saris LED desk lamp, basically anything that was $20 or cheaper and could reach over my monitors. And so I've also provided a link to that if you wanted an example of what I use for your setup. Now, to give you an idea of what a Pixelborn Connect setup might look like, allow me to show you mine. So we're going to start from the playmat and pan out, and you'll get a perspective of my computer setup. I have a triple monitor setup, as you can see. You can set this up with any amount of monitors, so long as your desktop can run the application. You'll see here that I have two webcams, one here and one here. Since I'm a streamer, this is my webcam that points at my face for the chat interaction. This is the actual webcam that points to my playmat. Here, you can see that I have it anchored to this in the back with some string to keep it nice and stable for a good play experience. And then I even used a little bit of duct tape there to just add to the stability. It points straight down to the mat. Another key part of a really good play experience is good lighting. I have this lamp that plays down at the playmat, so it's nice, visible, and clear. This lamp is an overhead lamp that's attached to the back of the computer, as you can see. clamped to the desk. This was also cheap and bought on Amazon, and is a simple plugin and then controlled with a simple USB remote. And then if you want to improve your lighting even more, I would add some sort of ambient lighting like here to make sure that your room is nice and lit. This is Pixelborn Connect and should be the landing page, especially if you pick the Disney Lorcana as your main game. When you first initially open that application, it may ask you to make an account using your email. And when you make your first name, it may have the words Pixelborn as part of your name. You can bypass this by signing up to Pavel's Patreon, in which case you can have more customized names or rename your account. But otherwise, as part of the free use of this application, you'll have Pixelborn as part of your name. So like, my name in this application is Pixelborn Malferon. You can look at the shop where you can use in-game currency purchased by just placing reasonably well in the competitive ladder on Pixelborn Connect. There's no real using real money to purchase any of these, nor is any of them really worth it. They're just cute little doodads to give some basic form of progression, profile pictures, plaques, basic visual effects of little animations, etc. The Collections tab will allow you to make identifiers for your decks. Keep in mind that these are not deck lists per se. You don't upload or export things from Dreamborn like you would on something like Inktable. Instead, these are just basic things to identify what you're playing. So like blue and gray would signify Sapphire Steel. You can make your deck name, Sonic Boom. This would make a new deck here, in which case you could go to your play area, you could select this deck, and this will help keep track of your wins and losses just for your own competitive pleasure. Going back to collections really fast, you can also look at your other collected doodads and basic forms of progression, but mostly you'll be dealing with this decks tab as you kind of figure out different decks to playtest. Historically, Pixelborn Connect used to show what colors you were playing into, but they no longer do that. It's all blind. Here, the play area is where you'll spend most of your time. This is split into Core Constructed, which is its own queue. So when you queue into this, you'll queue into other players playing Core Constructed. Using this play button, you would select your deck, hit the play button, and you'll find an opponent. There's the Infinity queue, which usually has a little bit less players. Core Constructed is definitely the main one that sees the most play. There's this new next set tab, which is kind of, if you're wanting to test proxies for the next set. Here is a custom tab where you can set up private games with friends or set up for like tournaments. You would simply select custom, select your deck, type in the name of a game. The creator of the game would maybe call it Malf, like me. You would select play, and you can even allow spectators to join the game and watch it. And then while you're in the queue, the other person would go to custom, type in the name of the game, which would be Malf, and then you would be linked together. And then what I'll always recommend doing is when you hop in, hit test real fast, just make sure that your setup looks like the way you want it to look. Make sure that it's the proper webcam, the proper output and input for your audio, and that if you want to flip the screen at all, for the best viewing and playing experience. In the kind of play area, you will see there's two different ladders that you can play. And so I'm going to close my webcam really fast to give you the fullest display here. Here is ranked, which is a best of one and this most common form of play that you'll see on Pixelborn Connect, where people just want to grind games. This is identified by this ranking here. This is Grandmaster, which is the highest league. Here you can see the ladder, where you'll see different people ranked. And then more advanced stats, you'll need to sign up to the Patreon. You can sign up for ranked or hardcore ranked. Hardcore ranked is best of 3 and is identified by this elo here and has its own separate ladder. Of these two, ranked is the more popular and more common, but many people will sign up for both. And culturally, many people, even in ranked, will just do best of 3s anyway, just to enjoy more games together. We'll show you a sample game just so you have an idea of the setup. Here's a sample game of me playing on Pixelborn Connect. This is my stream setup, so you will see my hand cam and my face cam. This, of course, is not standard if you were to play. So I selected my deck, I hit play, and it enters the queue. And we found an opponent almost immediately. Now you can see that the opponent is in the top left, and then my view is in the top right. In the center, you can see that there is an indicator to press a button to switch to your opponent's turn. And when the game starts, you can tell whose turn it is by who has the green box around their webcam interface. Bush in the lawn here has the green screen around him, so he'll be going first. And it is indicating that he has the active turn. This effectively functions as your coin flip. The numbers that are in the red and blue icons that have arrows going up and down are the lore. You can control these by clicking up and down, or you can press up and down on your keyboard. There is a microphone mute button, and then, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then the flasks that are rainbow colored that have arrows going left and right are indicators for your ink. These all have to be adjusted manually by you and your opponent, but are really helpful for keeping communication smooth and improving the play experience. And it's especially helpful for me as a streamer so that the chat can easily follow along to see who is winning, how much ink everyone has. Here is another game where I get paired up against this gentleman named Pixelborn Lore, and I get to show some of the features on the bottom left. You see that there's this blue square with different buttons that allow you to change your camera setup. L1 puts emphasis on your opponent with a smaller camera for you. L2 is more of an even appearance, as you'll see on my stream. L3 is only your opponent, and L4 is only you. If you see that spinning circle in the bottom left, that's not your computer, that's mine. That's an OBS streaming feature, and I just forgot to turn it off. In the menu, you also saw really quickly that there was an end game button, and you hit that and you determine the winner at the end. And then there is a disband game button where it would send a notification to your opponent, where it would ask if they want to disband the game, where neither player has their MMR or rating affected. And then there's a call judge button, where in an ideal world, Pavel, I think early on, had access to volunteer judges. It's largely a defunct button at this time. It doesn't really call any known volunteer judges to help, and so I would consider that vestigial and not really active. I hope this gave you all the information you needed to find, download, and set up Pixelborn Connect and be able to play Disney Lorcana online. I hope to see you out there. If you run into me, say hi. I love to meet new people in the community, and we have growing discords like my own. There's an online webcam league called Knights of Lorcana. There's the Pixelborn Discord. There's a multitude of creators' discords or just other people's discords trying to put together this really unique and awesome online community that plays together on Pixelborn Connect. And then there's a lot of streamers on Twitch, especially, that stream with games on Pixelborn Connect. You'll probably run into a fair few of them if you play. Everyone's very nice, and everyone wants to grow and foster the community. So feel free to say hi. And if people ask you, like, hey, is it okay if I'm streaming? Try not to be too intimidated, but you're always free to say no. Just know that, culturally, everyone wants to just make sure that everyone's having a great play experience. So I'll see you out there. Take it easy, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.